Bit about graphic organizers. These are 3 examples of graphic organizers. There's many different types of graphic organizers. Today, we're just going to talk about these 3. A Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is a graphic organizer. An idea map, or an idea cluster. An idea cluster is a graphic organizer. A timeline. A timeline is a graphic organizer. You can use these to help organize information. You can use these graphic organizers to organize information. When you read something, you can take the information from what you read and organize it using a graphic organizer. Let's use an example of something you've already read. Do you remember the story about the spider and Nancy?
Yes.
Okay, let's use these graphic organizers to organize some ideas that we learned in the story about Anansi. Let's do that. And then afterwards, you can finish using your book. When I'm done talking, you guys can talk to each other, you can help each other. But right now, just listen, just listen. Remember, this is a graphic organizer. It's called a Venn diagram. It's very good for comparing 2 things. For example, we could compare Anansi and rabbit. Now in the middle, we put, how are they the same? And the first thing I'm thinking of that they're the same is they're both animals. Right? They're both animals. So I'll write animals. Now, how are they different? Well, the first thing I thought of is, since Anansi's a spider, he has 8 legs. And rabbit is a mammal, and he has 2 legs. This graphic organizer, this Venn diagram, helps us understand how these 2 things are the same and how these 2 things are different. Your job is to write 2 more. 2 more. That's a Venn diagram. But now we have this. It's called an idea map or an idea cluster. And this helps us organize information as well. Let's write some ideas about Anansi. Now the one thing I remember is Anansi's very smart, right? He's clever. So I'm going to write that up here. Smart. But what else do we know about Anansi? He's smart, but does he like to work? No. Anansi's lazy. So I'm going to write that here. Your job is to think of 2 more things that you know about Anansi, and you're going to fill out this graphic organizer, this idea map. So we have a Venn diagram, you'll finish it. We have an idea map, you'll finish it, but there's one more. This graphic organizer is called a timeline, and it shows the order of the events. I don't know if you remember the story, but the very first thing that happens, the number 1, the very first thing that happens is Anansi. Who does he go see? Visits rabbit. That's the first thing that happens. And then many, many, many different things happen until the end of the story. And do you guys remember, do you remember what happens at the very end of the story? Anansi has 8 legs, but they're long. So at the end of the story, Anansi has 8 long legs. My question for you guys is, what happens in between? Your job is to put some information. What happens in between when Anansi visits Rabbit, and at the end of the story, when Anansi has 8 long legs? You guys have done an outstanding job listening. I hope you understand what you need to do. You can talk. You can share answers with your neighbor. It's fine. You can find information in your book on page 24. The story about Anansi is on page 24 in your book, and you can find information so that you can finish these 3 graphic organizers. Does someone want to ask a question about what you're supposed to do for the next 20 minutes?